right, not bad, not bad. Hello, everyone. If you're catching the replay, welcome. I'm Steve. Mark's not home from work yet, and this is Smokeysteveandmarc. Welcome or welcome back. And happy, what the hell day is it? Thursday? We're gonna go with Thursday. Weekend is upon us. The weekend is in swing. It's on its way. On Fridays, I work a half day, and tomorrow I requested to work from home, so I'm going to be working from home. So it's kind of like a Friday, but not really. Like, I have to get up tomorrow, but I don't have to get up and go to, like, I just have to get up to the couch. And I don't have to go too much further than that. So that's all that's going on this end of the world. You know, hey, Olga. Shell Bell, hello. I'm having a conflict about doing this with my glasses on because the glasses aren't all that they could be. Hey, Mike, what's up? And so I get glare back, a lot of reflection. I clean them, but it's still, unless I wear them down here, look at y'all like this, and then read my notes down here like that, which is fine. But, you know, I am already the aging homosexual. Do I really need granny glasses? Do I need a chain, maybe, with it? A little light to come over the top of my notes so I can read them easier? Something like that. Something like that. So, word nerd, hello. Hey, Mr. McPhoebes. All right, we'll see you on the replay. Have fun at work. Sugar Plum, hello, hello. Thanks. The background is going for Valentine's Day. You know, when Mark does the videos, his tend to be more thematic. And he has some Valentine's Day content and some cooking and the stuff that the two of us were actually going to be doing. So he had put some lights up, and I thought, hey, Coffee Talk deserves lights. Why not? So, hey, Christine, how are you? Just finished Pulpy, now you have me. Greater Parsons to help you. We try. Just keep us in your one ear, and we'll keep you entertained the whole time. You're listening at the grocery store. That's awesome, Annie. Thank you. Thank you, Beth, and hello, Gemini. So, here we are again, another week. Now, we weren't here last week. Life took over, and we weren't able to do a video or live on Sunday. So we didn't get to check in when we were here last week. However, this week we are here. So just to go over a couple of bullet points, I've got maybe about 6 or so. She didn't have a whole shit ton of videos this week since I started, like, on the weekend up until now. And she didn't have a ton of videos, a lot of mukbangs, a few lives, a lot of the usual Chantal bullshit that we all know and love. So, just finished up watching her most recent live, where she's been getting super chats, and super chats, and super chats. And she's, like, so blushed and fun. I mean, she'd be blushing if the filters weren't on, but you can tell that she's very wooed and excited about this. When you see, and as a creator, I can vouch, when you get a super chat, it's exciting. It lights up, a color comes up, something comes into the chat, so, you know, it is very kind of, it's an exciting thing. She's getting these large amounts coming in for super chats. And I know French Fry Girl usually gets that kind of stuff, and it probably doesn't make Chantal feel special, but did find that they tend to tip well when she doesn't use a napkin. To put it kindly, I guess, maybe? I don't know. Actually, hello, Sharon, hello. Sent some pics to you guys from the walk I took over the Instagram. Oh, cool. Mark probably has them, Christine. I'll check with them when he gets home. So, this is not a drill. It's a hammer. So, again, last week when we weren't here, it was the usual nonsense. Food, drama, and empty weight loss promises. That's the backbone of the Foodie Beauty channel. So she had a mukbang. She sat down and ate bakari rice and kofta kebab, a mukbang. It was okay. We'll go into some details. Chantal, of course, is the model driver, and we had an incident or two in the last, 2 weeks, which point to that. She sat down, she did some cooking. She did a cookbang, making Fasolia green bean and beef stew. It didn't look particularly good. I don't mean to sound ethnocentric or Western, but it looked like dog food. Not all the food she eats looks like dog food. This food looked like dog food, and it just happened that she cooked it. So, just saying it is all. On to that. She did breakfast, and then she had some nasty lives and discussions where she was talking about, I can't stand it, that's crooked, but it's going to stay crooked, I know it. Hello again, Texas. talking about weight loss, because she keeps making these challenges and she keeps making these promises that she's going to go do this and she's going to do that and she's going to lose weight and no fast food, and takeout doesn't count as fast food, even though it's food quickly. It's not fast food. You know, she'll draw lines wherever she needs to eat, pretty much. There's no more chaste feeling for her, I think, than full. Nothing. Not high, not post-coital, nothing. Full. And it's good under any circumstance. You know, as long as she can get enough to eat, she'll be fine, no matter where she is. So that's our girl. So yeah, she talks about eating okay, and people who think she's eating sloppily or that she's eating too much, you know, well, it's OMAD. I'm just having this one meal today until I want a snack, and then we're not dieting again. What else here? Another live stream. Salah and her were arguing in the chat. Because Chantal was out doing stupid things. Salah was in the chat talking, and she was trying to get herself some ice cream or something, and didn't have the correct change, didn't have the correct currency by country, from what I understand, and had to hold it up to the camera to show, Salah, is this what I pay with? 2 years she's lived there. 2 years. I can't promise I'd be fluent in the language in 2 years. That's thinking rather highly of myself. But let's say, I don't know, if Mark didn't speak much English, I'd probably try to figure out whatever language he was speaking. Certainly count the money. I mean, for God's sake, there's people that live in the United States that aren't fluent in English, but they can count money, you know, especially if you're going to be buying and selling and businesses. And how does she handle all the financial exchanges with the brand? You know, how does Salah do that if they're not competent in math? So maybe that's why the brand isn't doing so well, or so. She did another mukbang after that. She had dinner at home. She was dying to order out, but she goes through all the stuff she had in the fridge and what might be home. And then she ends up having like a toasted tomato, cheese, and toasted mayonnaise sandwich with tomatoes and a little cheese on it. So, and then after that point, when she was talking about that, she had some more points about how people shouldn't get their hopes up. So Chantal has people around her who do care about her. They vary in the chat, the Beezers, the ones who are sincere and who are either very new or who don't know the truth about her or haven't watched her for a very long time, and they're just kind of, you know, taking it in. You know, they find out as they go, and we've all found out as we go too. But I'm finding now, as I'm looking at my notes, over a long period of time now, it's been about 5 or 6 years, she hasn't changed very much at all. And I think, well, let's point back at ourselves, because usually when we're assessing, we're not assessing. So, you know, what are we missing here? And so I tried to think about myself over the last few years. I'm like, no, things have changed. There's been major purchases. We moved twice, got married, all sorts of stuff happened with just in the last, you know, couple of years in our life. And she did too. But she doesn't have much to show for it besides dirty plates, I guess. I don't know. Just saying. Just saying is all. Just saying. So for her first meal, she was having Arabic rice and kebab. Worth noting that the plate was half rice, because that's how she rolls. Dietitian had told her 1,000 years ago, palm full of rice. She decided that a palm full was not her palm full because it would be too small. Plus, she can't really close her fist. It's too big. Somebody's palm full, and then it was plate full, and then it was half a plate full. So she'll start, it's like getting into a hot tub, you know, you gotta kind of ease your way into these lies. You know, first it was like, oh, I can have some, just a small amount. And there's like, oh, I can have some, but a little more than that. But for how big I am, to create a calorie deficit, I could still eat all this food and lose weight. I just don't. She measured by Shaw's. Yeah, by his fist. I would think so. So during this mukbang, she's chitting and chatting over her piles of rice, and she's out of breath explaining all of the food and what she's going to be eating. She's offering apology for her health challenges. The health challenges being no fast food. We're not going to go for takeout. Only homemade food twice a week. No sweets. Salah's going to do all the shopping, and I'll eat whatever he picks. Like, she needs a reason to be blameless. Now it'll be his fault that she's fat because he did the shopping. But so she talks about not wanting to be like part of those anymore because they don't really help. They don't really do anything for her. They don't last, but she takes a very light approach to the fact that the people who like her and the Beezers, they shouldn't get let down, according to her, because they know how she is, This is her suggestion. They know what kind of person she is. They shouldn't get their hopes up, and it's their own fault if they're disappointed. Friends are try it sometime. Get a friend sometime. Someone you could be honest with. Just saying. She says she got an email from a struggling beezer, blah, 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 asking for help from Chantal. Nobody wrote her. Whenever she says a friend or a reader or a viewer or somebody wrote her asking for advice, Chantal's the last person anyone's asking for advice about. Unless I wanted to ask, how many ads can you put in a 8.5-minute video? Is it 5? Is it 6? Is it more ads than actual content? Can you do that? You can put a lot of fucking ads into a video. I'll go back when the live's over and throw in a few, but for an hour of content, I don't throw in I don't put 10 ads in it even. I mean, that would be like an ad every 6 minutes. Am I that interesting that every 6 minutes you should be paying for something? We'll leave that to you, the viewer, to decide. So no, she didn't get an email from anybody asking for her advice, but she went on this little story talking about how she did. And how her dishonesty is okay. Because she knows she's not lying to be mean. It's just to stir the pot. So when Chantal is dishonest about something she's going to be saying, it's okay for her because she's not trying to be malicious about it. She's just, but you're lying. There's the truth and a lie are not sort of the same thing. And these gray areas, have stumped philosophers for centuries. But there's got to be lines somewhere. Her idea of saying, how I am, and laughing it off means zero accountability. And the people that she asked to hold her accountable then feel obviously put off. What the fuck did you ask for our help for if you're going to just do what you want anyway and laugh in our face? And her response to that is a very similar. You guys know how I am. I was like this when you started watching. You don't like it? Watch something else. So, and that kind of glowing personality always invites more people. That's why we're at, has it been another week? I don't think she's had more than 1 or 2 videos in the last 3 weeks, maybe, with over 10,000 views. Not a whole lot. Yes, Texas, saying just kidding, thinking it absolves everything. Absolutely everything. Oh, I was going to give away the cat anyway. Oh, just kidding. I'm just kidding. I have no use for those people. Just kidding. Just kidding. She's only hurting herself, no one else. She doesn't get it, Gemini, and she won't. She won't. She'll be on her deathbed, and she'll think that somehow owns French Fry Girl, because she's not on 24/7 oxygen. She only needs it to sleep. So, there. She doesn't have any outside health conditions contributing to her obesity other than her either addiction, eating disorder, or gluttony, depending on what you think about why she is the way she is. There's not much else to kind of say into that. So, her dishonesty puts it at other people being upset. It's dramatic and overblown. It's false outrage. You asked people to care. The suckers did, and their feelings are hurt. And because you do it about 7 times a year, cycling, it's nothing personal to Chantal. She doesn't remember any of these people. She doesn't remember any of her names. She's had people over the years throw money at her. I know she's been doing, or she has over time done stuff off camera privately. And if I was into the mukbang fat fetish world, maybe I would see the temptation, because I think, probably make a little more money. I know that when she's sitting there live and the spoonfuls get sloppier and the mayonnaise finds its way down here, all of a sudden those super chats can go up depending on who's in the chat and what they want to see, apparently. So if things get messy, certain people like messy, piggy, and they'll throw a buck out to say, hey, keep at it. It's weird. They don't say keep at it. It's not like encouraging her to, it is, but it isn't, but it is. I don't, giving someone money to hurt themselves is not ideal. You can argue whether or not she's hurting herself in the moment, but every one of those bites contributed to her needing 2 seats on an airplane. Every bite she takes, she doesn't have a metabolic disorder. It's not her thyroid. She's been checked for everything under the sun. If there was some way she could get out of responsibility for the size of her body, she would. If she could pin it on PCOS, she'd try to put it somewhere else. Thing is, though, people with outstanding physical challenges, whether they're physical or brought on, triggered by mental health stuff or anything like that, few or $100, you can tell she knows there's a feeder in there. She can smell. She's not new. Chantal's been living off YouTube for years. Now she's struggling more than she did in the past. She's trying everything from drama, I think fake drama with Salah, to possibly people in the loop who are sending these super chats to her. You know, how she's, oh, it's so nice, it's so this, that's a friend of a friend sending them. Or that they're getting charged back at the end of the month and someone's just trolling her. It's kind of hard to gauge. But, so to go. So, it's her life to throw away is essentially the message of that mukbang. And if you're upset that she's throwing her life away, it's none of your business. Now, if you have a general feeling about the idea of people wasting human life as an affront to humanity, then you might feel differently. But she doesn't care. She doesn't care at all. So, her model behavior, model driver. So she was out for a drive and she was streaming. Now, Chantal doesn't need to be told. It's been said 1,000 times. Do not get behind the wheel of the car and look at the chat. You know, face the chat out on the road or whatever you're doing. Oh, hey, Flurry, how are you? Thanks for dropping by. Fleur. That's cute. So she's obviously always looking at the chat. You can tell that she is. And she gets distracted when she's driving because for her, she's just having a good time and she's out hanging out with her friends and doing whatever, getting lost, have no idea where she's going. The GPS she's trying to, she says, keep up with, which is not working. And so there was a little bit of a crunch. She got jammed up in a little traffic situation and she, quote, I hit something. She wasn't sure what she hit. And it wasn't really clear at the time what she hit. She was backing away from one car and bumped into something else. So it was either something in the parking lot. There was a tire in the background that got shown. That it could have been maybe that she backed into, or it was another car. She was asking the people out the window, oh my God, did I hit anything? They're just waving at her because she doesn't speak the language and wouldn't know what to do. She couldn't handle a crisis in English, let alone another language in any part of the world. You know, she's fluent in French, I guess, also. But I think she could probably have a meltdown in Paris and nobody would know what to do with her because she can't speak. We choose, unless we're little kids, we choose the languages we kind of learn. You know, I was raised speaking English, so I speak English. I took a lot of years of Spanish in school, old school style, not based on proficiency. So I can read in Spanish and I can pronounce everything beautifully. But I can't always converse unless the person is talking to me very slowly. Cornwall restaurant French. Yeah. C'est quoi? They don't say mais oui. They say mais oui. From what it was described to me by a friend who learned his French in Quebec, is that the c'est quoi is kind of like the southern drawl of French. It's like, oh, we can tell where you're from by how you sound. And that Parisian French would be a little faster, you know, more quickly, which again, I wouldn't be able to keep up with. I think the hardest part of learning a language is the conversational. It's putting yourself out there, willing to be wrong, willing to get stuck in a conversation and have to go, do you speak English? I don't know what I'm supposed to say next. But you don't get good by one day. You don't learn, you know, a language by spending 2 years living somewhere. You got to crack a book, you know. Somewhere you got to crack a book. And if she couldn't even count the money, no wonder Salah was pissed at her. And he was pissed at her. So she was asking the pedestrians if she hit something. She doesn't seem to be bothered by the entire event. It didn't seem to affect her personally. She didn't get out of the car. She didn't look and see if anything was wrong. She has no language skills at all. And then she assumes that she bumped into it was a tire in the background. After the fact. She doesn't know. She didn't get out. She didn't look. She just... Now, if I was driving, I would say my own, Mark and I share a car, but let's say we each had our own. If I was driving my car and maybe bumped into something with no damage, I don't think I'd bring it up. Probably. I don't know how Salah would feel about her taking out the vehicle because he's the man and taking it out, going out on her own. She says he doesn't like her going out on her own. She wants to give the impression that he's possessive and wants his woman home and wants her with him. So what? Sit in the next room, sweat through a couch while he plays video games? Like, what are they doing? So, I don't know. So, she hit something, asked the pedestrians. There were no help. Is she too big to drive? I think she's too reckless to drive. I don't know if she's too big. I mean, there's a couple things that you can see. If a person can't turn their head all the way around to hit blind spots, that's concerning. She wears glasses. I don't know if she needs them for driving or not, or if she needs them for reading. She might not need them for driving. Of course, she's going to read the chat. She has to have them on. So what if that compromises her view of the road? And she as much admitted to when she was driving that she does talk to the chat. She does look at the chat, but it's no different than glancing at the GPS. The GPS will talk to you, though. She says, not that I was looking at the chat, but even if I was, it was no big deal. So you were, but you started by saying you weren't, and then added a caveat onto it that says, even if you do think this is wrong, it's not, and here's why. So if she sees nothing wrong with it, then she's been doing it the whole time. It's not like she's suddenly gotten more unsafe. She's been this unsafe. It's just been confirmed by her that it's that unsafe. She's too dramatic when she's driving, especially if she's filming herself. Remember those natter rants and rages and the drives and the, all you had to do was fake love me, and her swerving all over the road, driving in the snow, driving when it was suggested maybe she wasn't in the best physical condition to be operating heavy machinery. Glean from that what you may. She used to be a lot more open about her substance use, and so people would question when she would get in the car. It's like, you've been streaming, you were up smoking pot till 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning your time, and then you get up at noon to go over to see what's his fuck, and you're like, well, are you high? You were out of your mind. You ate enough to get a normal person high for about 25 hours, 25 to 30 hours, given how much she would take. And she'd be like, no, I'm fine, that was last night. People get into those kind of troubles with DUI. You think you slept off the party the night before. You fell asleep 5 minutes before sundown, and you're going to get out there in the morning with everyone else during rush hour while you've had a 3-hour disco nap after 10 hours of drinking and decided it's safe to be on the road. I was a drunk driver, so I'm the kind of that doesn't really take it too lightly anymore. I did my damage. I took my risks. I put other people's lives at risk doing it. It's not a good thing. My penance, I don't drink. I mean, I did afterwards and for a while here and there, hence the rehabs and the jails and the ... There's some playlists that address all that. That also gives me the experiences, though, that I weigh against Chantal. Chantal and I share a lot of issues. When I first started talking about her, it was the same thing. She has issues with her body. She has issues with food, which I relate to. She had some mental health issues, but hers are undiagnosed. They're not, nothing really put a fine point on it. She'll go to see a counselor or a therapist, or she'll say she is, and then it turns out, well, I made the appointment too. Well, I missed the appointment I was going to. I get the feeling that you ever go to like a website, if you've ever looked for mental health or any other service, you can find them. Bottom right side of the screen, it'll say, click here for more help, or do you need information now? I imagine she clicked on that and said, I need an appointment, and she considered that addressing the issue. So, I don't know. Is she too big to drive? If you can do the hand over hand, you're probably okay. If you're doing this with the steering wheel, like it's not as safe. It's not as fluid a motion. You shouldn't be doing the Mr. Miyagi with one hand, wax on, wax off to turn the wheel. But, she's not safe. And can she safely move her foot from the gas to that? It's not her fault that she's, 5'1". That just happens, It's not like she ate herself short. But when you add that much weight to her body and you put 400 pounds on a 5-foot frame, there's going to be certain motions it just cannot do. And if part of that involves not being able to drive. So, Chantal has been diagnosed with a personality disorder. I think she didn't like the diagnosis, probably. I don't know, though. See, I think me, Steve, who has no diagnosing capabilities as a professional or layperson or anything, it's probably something more like her personality. I mean, she's got some food issues, but that spills out sideways, too. She does a lot of what she says is emotional eating and then tells us she's never been happier in her life. Well, then why are you so emotional at eating? Are you eating just because you like it? Don't pretend it's a mental, emotional, personal thing. If it's not, if you just like the way food tastes and you think fuck off if you don't like watching it, then hold on to that and share it. But don't pretend to be ashamed of your secret that she was hiding when she was with BB. And so this goes back a while when she was with BB, and she had hid, and he discovered, 6 or so pizza boxes from Pizza Hut in the bedroom closet. Now, why he wouldn't see them in his own bedroom closet, I don't know. Her sleeping arrangements are not set in stone with any of her lovers and relationships, I suppose. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. So let's have a vape break. How about that? 25 minutes. How is everybody doing? While we take a breath and have a Diet Coke, which, by the way, I spilled this entire half of this, not all of it. Whole thing fell over onto my phone, onto the table, onto my notes, right before starting. Clumsy, clumsy, clumsy. And I'm waiting for Mark to get home. He had to work late. And then when he gets back, I have to go out. I have to go to the pharmacy. And then I'm home tomorrow, but I have to be alive and awake for the start of work, so I can't, like, stay up all night or anything. I like how she cuts hairs about fast food. As celiac, I go to the salad bar, still call it fast food. I know, but you're managing, it sounds like, your health condition by controlling and working on your diet. She can't relate. Unless it's easy or accidental, she's not doing anything healthy. When she accidentally swallows, a liter of water, she's not going to go for it. I think she used to like the ice water a lot because it resets. If you have food issues, sometimes you get obsessed with certain parts of the process. Like, I would always get excited about putting a big meal together to eat. I think the process of it chewing and swallowing for her, she gets excited, which is why she only chews like a spoonful of rice from that half a plate of rice, 2 or 3 bites, and then swallows. Oh, good, Nicole, I'm glad. We still had the last of it in the fridge. I just ate the last of the twisty Alfredo pizza bacon things, too. I'm glad you liked. We've had more content with just Mark and I in the last month. January's tough. You make a lot of videos, you make no videos. Almost nobody is making a ton of money. And if you look at Chantal's in the same place, views are down. Money's down. What is it, 30% roughly across the board? We have 1.5 the views this month that we had last month. We had some shorts with the kitties that were well viewed, and you guys have been watching the other content too, which is great. Which we appreciate too, because that's closer to Mark and I. I like to share thoughts on Foodie because, well, like I said, we overlap. I see her, I see a lot of me. And I know people don't get that, but if you knew me then, you would. And it's beyond just the behaviors. It's beyond just the fact that my body was bigger, that I didn't have a co-occurring physical ailment, that I just was big because I ate. That it was as simple as that. There was nothing, no allergies, no buildup of toxins, and that, Oh, thanks, Nicole. Thanks. So let's proceed. She had a cookbang, as she had put it, and she had made fasolia, green bean, and beef stew. She called it green bean and beef stew, and it didn't look very good. Honestly, have to say, it didn't look very good. Now, I don't have the most cultured palate, but I know what looks tasty and what doesn't. I also think it's interesting how everything is perfectly seasoned. Everything is very fresh and perfectly seasoned. Unless she made it herself, then sometimes it's When she talks about making food for herself, she talks about it like you're asking her to wipe her ass with her bare hand. Oh, I guess I could have a sandwich. I have some stuff I ordered. I had a grocery delivery come in, so there's no food in the house, and then she opens the fridge to give a tour, and there's a ton of food. 8 kinds of beverages, sippies, juice. Somewhere in there's probably food. Underneath all the liquid candy and sugar water. So, fresh equals warm. It was recently heated. That makes it fresh, I suppose. So, I'm sure Ada, they spend loads on shit they could never track. Now, I'm not a miser of every spare nickel goes into my 401 or 403b or my IRA or anything like that. But at the same time, they throw away money on things that you can't take it. I mean, you can't take any of it with you. But there's nothing even sentimental. It's not like she went out and has, tokens for herself of things she went to go do. Like she didn't, buy anything for herself to keep the memories, or she just doesn't care. If she can't eat it, she doesn't, or brag about it, or try to throw it in someone's face, then she doesn't care. Really. At all. I think the big chunk of her getting these super chats now is her feeling like she can throw it in French Fry Girl's face. French Fry Girl, who apparently hasn't been online in a while. Like she's not in Chantal's face at the moment. Chantal is just, French Fry Girl lives rent-free in her head. I mean, that's the ultimate own. When it's like, you can turn my channel off, you'll still hear me. That's an own. That's an own. She's gotten into her space. French Fry Girl has gotten into her head in a way that I don't think she'll ever get back out. There's no reconciling there. I don't think there's any live and let live either. So we'll see. But I think French Fry Girl was going to buy a house. Chantal was going to buy 2 seats on a plane. So we, different ways we do different things. Her dog was just spayed, so she stayed offline. You know what, coffeeness? And that makes sense. And obviously everyone knows she can take the time to take a few days off from YouTube. But most of us could. Most of us aren't going to tank our channel if we take a couple days off to do something else. Because the people that like us and they like to watch, they'll come back. And new people will trip onto you eventually, the algorithm being what it is. And, people will find their way back to the channel. It'll come back around. But I agree. 100%. 100%. So she cooked. It was interesting but not enticing. It was a giant plate of rice, which to me says poverty, and filler. But it's Salah's favorite. Of course, he's not eating. And he's nowhere to be found, but yeah. And she fawns over the taste and the quality of everything that she's eating. Salah's favorite dish. His favorite dish. She's eating fast because she's hungry from cooking. It's very strenuous to clean as she goes, and then she shows proof that she cleaned her own house, because a lot of us in our midlife feel compelled to show evidence that we are competent and mature enough to clean our own home. I don't clean the oven every day. I don't mop the entire apartment every day. We have hardwood floors and tile, and that's it. And then some throw rugs and stuff that we have down. We have a runner in the hallway. But every day the cat area gets cleaned, which means the boxes get cleaned and, scooped and flipped as needed completely. All litter, all done, all bleached out, all rinsed out. Every so often the total overhaul happens, but at the very least it's scooped out, cleaned, and clean up the litter in the area because you can't help but get litter everywhere. So I'll vacuum all that up off the rugs. And then any little bits of food they have left, and that's their area. The kitchen's next, and it's right next to where we keep the cats, and I just vacuum the mats and then sweep the floor. It takes no time. And then the hallway. We have a long hallway. Still doesn't take that long. The hallway gets done like every other. Every day is kitchen, cat room, because those are 2 places where smells can happen quick. Bathroom as well. But the living room, the studio, like this room, I'll clean the floor every couple days, depending. If Mark gets into a project, it could get pretty dirty. So we want to stay on top of that. I have issues but don't want therapy. I binge food but don't want to stop. I'm married but yeah. But. If ifs and buts were candies and nuts, she'd eat them. So yeah. Salah's kind of MIA at the moment too. You don't really see him. They used to do a whole lot more stuff together. Even if they didn't look thrilled to be doing it, they were doing it together. You don't really see him as much. He's in the chat periodically, but otherwise, no. The only true thing in her bio is that she's Canadian. Yeah. Uh-huh. I see. So, and it was so funny when they were talking about not having silverware to do stuff. It flashed me back. Only mention Big C, when the poor lost soul had to come home from work after an 8-hour shift and eat a lean cuisine with a plastic fork because washing a metal fork was too much for someone who has to play video games all day. That at that time really stuck out to me because I thought, how selfish. I don't need it, so it's not worth doing. If you're going to marry someone, and Chantal chose to marry someone, then you have to take their feelings into consideration, even if you don't give a shit about stuff sometimes. Like, Mark doesn't like dishes in the sink, he doesn't like them here or there. It's fine. I can give a flying shit about the dishes. But I like my marriage, and I like a clean house, and so you make some allowances. You don't just demand the other person acquiesce to your things until they give in. I mean, at this point, Salah is so sick of trying to help her be anything other than herself that I think he just does his own thing. Elsewhere, he doesn't come by to visit, he doesn't come by to sleep, he just does whatever. And him not wanting her to go out at night has nothing to do with protective caretaker vibes. It has more to do with, like, you're going to wreck my car, distracted driving, and you're going to get out there and create a problem that she's going to call Salah to have to come translate to fix. So, yeah. So she did a breakfast mukbang, which was different. She had that up that she was talking about going to set up a therapy appointment. And for viewers, or for Salah, this gives the illusion of interest in change. So when she says she's going to go to therapy, what it means is someone's breathing down her neck. It's either the chat, or it's, the Beezers, or it's Salah, or it's someone off camera. And so she's performing for the channel to address this off-channel kind of concern I think that Salah's having. And wants him to feel like, oh, I'm committed to change, to keep him hanging on a little longer. She buys his time like a week at a time, I think. Oh, I can't move back to Canada. I sprained my ankle this year. Want to give me some food? I'll pay. I'm sure she usually pays. So they're having breakfast, and she says during this breakfast, where she was mean as shit to everyone she talked to during this, that she's done with the challenges. So no more no fast food. No more none of this. No more none of that. We are just going to go through. And she said she can't be successful as a weight loss channel. She's just not. So she's not going to beat her head against the wall. She hasn't ever lost weight on the channel in any way that you document. The only time she lost an appreciable amount of weight was when she was doing stuff that took very little effort. And some Ozempic. She was doing Ozempic before I think a lot of other people were, because she was paying out of pocket for it too. For whatever reason, she said it wasn't covered by her provincial insurance. So the cocaine was not either, probably. But that's when she lost a ton of weight. And then she kind of trickled all that back on over the years as it's come back. But when she was losing weight, it wasn't because she was a weight loss channel. It wasn't because she was getting out and getting in her steps and drinking enough water and taking care of herself and looking after her mind and spirit. It's because she was using, so she wasn't eating. It's not all that glitters is gold, Salah's not very bright. Salah is not, and I couldn't decide on Bigby if that was because language barrier, because he doesn't talk as much. Do I think he doesn't know as much necessarily? But he's kind of, you can see how she could take advantage of him. You can see how she could take advantage of him. And he's very socially inept. I get the feeling that he was like raised very sheltered, propped up as a man on nothing. You are the man. Based on what? Aside from his genitals? And depending on who you ask about those, him trying to be the assertive dominant one in their relationship, yeah. Only son complex, thank you, Bug Love. That sums it up entirely. See, it takes teamwork to make the dream work here. And he's never been told no, from what I understand. And, Chantal can act the part, but I think eventually she would be like, listen, kid, I'm paying for this. This is my life. You can go back and live with dad, or, whatever Salah's situation was. I know he's not supposed to be one place, but his father was a well-educated, established person in his community. So I don't know. I better not guess, because I don't know half the way about that shit. So, no weight loss challenges. She will not be having a weight loss channel. Let's see. She was going to do OMAD and only eat once a day. So when she sits down with a whole shit ton of food, whether it's from Hardee's, which is the new KFC, or from anywhere else, she's going to be talking about how this is my one meal today. It's not that bad. There's only one meal. Well, it's the first meal she's eaten since she's gotten up and turned the camera on. That part's probably true. But is it breakfast because it's the first meal? Well, it breaks the fast. She has a rather, I don't want to say non-traditional sleep schedule. It's unhealthy. She has an unhealthy sleep schedule. She's tired during the day. She sleeps on a full stomach. So you're not getting good sleep. You're constantly tired. She's always dragging herself all over the place. No wonder she doesn't have the energy to do anything other than chew. And even that gets sparse sometimes. Rice, 2-3 chews and a swallow. You don't want to choke on a live. You don't want that to be the way it goes out. You don't want that to be your viral video. A local woman choked to death today on a live stream. She'll be on the news, and then it'll be over. There's her real 15 minutes, and then it's gone. So, she decided if she's going to do fitness, it will be its own channel, because it doesn't really have a place on the Foodie Beauty channel, and it will be called Foodie Gets Fit. Okay. She struggles at the present to get 10K per video, which is, not a whole shit ton of views for a channel her size. I mean, you want to come in, what do they say, 10%? Something similar. So if she has like 100,000 subs, you want to be getting like 10,000 views a video to show some sort of health of the channel, roughly, I guess, over the course of a year. So if she's not doing that, then fewer people are watching and fewer people are watching. But if fewer people who have as much money or are willing to give it to her are there. The super chats are a twisted thing. Chantal, she has ways. You can just send her money if you want to kiss her ass. It's performative to send her money in the chat because you're giving a third of it to YouTube anyway, just to show up in front of everyone that you have money. You know, if you want to support, you know, CashApp is another thing too. I remember when Zachary Michaels started, he had right in his right in the bio line, want to send me money for no reason? Here's my Venmo. So some people are a little more upfront than others, but I think she needs the theater of, see, this person is rewarding me, and so I'm going to talk to them. And the rest of you peons can sit quietly and feast on my scraps. So Foodie gets fit. She's never going to start another channel. Swear something. I'm sorry, I was reading the chat and I got laughing. And I dropped my vape again. And put it down. And I have no idea. There it is. So, going into... I don't have one more thing. She was just live today. And did I take notes on this one? I did. Oh, what she's looking for, as she was talking about not doing the mukbangs and being angry, is trying to find balance. Now, saying she's trying to find balance is one of those things she says that's meant to be relatable. You and I are supposed to understand that it's hard to find balance. It's almost impossible to maintain balance. It's a kind of a, you know, it's not always in the same spot. And since people can relate to that, she thinks that means they'll relate to her. But her description of her circumstances is very different than I think most other people's would be as a casual observer, just looking from the outside in. People who live in glass pancake houses shouldn't throw stones. That's not new. I can't imagine somebody hasn't said something similar to that yet. Their business son curious, he'd been a tomcat before the marriage. So, no restrictions. Comfort eating, I still maintain. Why does she need to comfort eat if she's so happy? If she's so enthralled with life and everything is so fulfilling? If every day is like a fresh plate of rice? Then why does she need all the extra stuff? You know, she has the hallmarks and the habits of someone who's unhappy and trying to fill a void, or trying to numb what's in the void, or trying to forget some giant problem that they have. You know, every one of her actions is like numb, avoid, forget. Numb, avoid, forget. Deny, lie, numb, avoid, forget. She can't really, I'm guessing she can't deal with the emotional consequences of like letting people down or being rude or anything like that. So she just doesn't. So she doesn't turn Salah on, and that's kind of important. If you're going to be married, you know, you wanna. And he was, I suppose, aware that she was not fertile before they got together. And given the importance in some, you know, communities of her, in some cultures, her only job is to pop out a kid. Anything else is gravy. If she learns to sew, great. But her only real job is to produce. And if she's not doing that, what other role is she filling in Salah's life? If she's not taking care of his children because they don't have any, then she's taking care of him, I guess, but he's never around. So he's, wherever he is, he's taking care of himself. He's not home. He's getting his own food, probably washing his own clothes. You know, every once in a while, he'll get up her ass about something and she'll be like, I don't know, maybe I'll go to a therapist. Buy some breathing room. She'll lie about going for a few times and then never go back, and then change back to the person she was before she started going and defend the reasons that she went. So her own self-therapy is not working. She has a lot of advice on what to do, but doesn't follow it. She's not a doer, she's a planner. And I'll give this to Chantal. She's an okay planner, but execution is usually where she has a hard time coming through with it. Like she can't pull it all together and make anything happen for any appreciable period of time. The only time I saw her close to trying, and it was close to trying, was when she was doing low carb for a while. And then she talked about how I can't do that, carbs are not evil. So her advocacy for a well-rounded diet is to binge eat. You know, in a show of solidarity with carbs, she's going to eat almost nothing but carbs and show how you can be perfectly unhealthy on a steady diet of that crap. I like carbs. I'm a carb fiend myself. But even I have to draw my limits. If I've eaten nothing but carbs for like 2-3 days in a row, you start to feel like shit. You start to not be able to, depending on the fiber content of what you're eating, you know. So, just saying. Just saying. Live stream. So there's another live stream. Now Salah's mad. This was the live stream where she goes out on her own, and then she's going to go get some ice cream. And she has to hold the change up to the camera to show Salah, what's this, what's that. I don't know what to pay with. It's not even the correct currency. She tries talking to the guy. What do you have for this, for that? And I think Salah's thinking, just order something and hand him the money. You know, if you don't speak the language, don't exacerbate the situation. Don't try to escalate it. Just find what you want, get him the money, and go. If she's been there for 2 years and she can't do an exchange like that, then I don't know. I think you could probably consult, you know, a travel guide and come up with enough about custom to buy ice cream. Understand enough about money and how to ask questions, you know, even if you're not in the language. Get a phrase book. I bet he would try to teach her, Chris, but I don't think, first of all, he's no kind of teacher, I'm sure, because he doesn't care. But if he did, she would have to be willing to learn, and you can't do that. She won't. She won't go to the mosque. She won't do anything. Except for the outfit, she's totally onto that. In every aspect of the Muslim faith, except for the outfit. She doesn't carry herself in a respectable way. She's not interested in becoming more a part of the culture. I can't wait to see her pilgrimage to Mecca and see how that shakes down, literally. So, we'll see. We'll see. She can't handle the crowds. I can't see her making a pilgrimage. Just saying. They can be crowded no matter what the faith is. Pilgrimages get crowded. So, he should only speak Arabic to her. Now, there's an idea, Jamie. If he only spoke Arabic, eventually it would be like immersion. She would have to eventually. But you know what? She might have the translator app on your phone where you just talk into it on that 90-Day Fiancé when these people marry strangers because they're lonely. They'll translate language back and forth over their phone. And that's a great bit of technology and a wonderful way to expand who you can communicate to. And you don't have to speak the same first language or even second language, but you have to speak a similar language and enough of it that you can talk. Like, can Chantal and Salah sit down and have an important, in-depth conversation about love, marriage, and the future? Does she have the desire? Does he have the vocabulary? Google Translator, thank you, Llama. And it's helpful in situations. I don't know that I could conduct my marriage through Google Translator, but for problems here and there, for the couple of friends I have that live internationally and who travel, who are English native speakers, and it is a privilege because in a lot of the world, English is the second language, which means you don't have to learn diddly shit from the West and you can go and travel other places. But if you're going to go set up shop, dear heart, you might want to learn the language. How humiliating I think Salah was. Salah's in the chat mad that she's taking this much time to do this, that it's embarrassing to him. Well, you're her fucking tour guide. She can't go anywhere without you. But you're not teaching her anything, apparently. You're just doing it for her. But she doesn't want to learn. Because as soon as she doesn't need him, you know, somehow to blame because she didn't know it always needs a scapegoat. I didn't know. Salah wasn't there. If you were here, I wouldn't have had this problem. When she threw it back at him, she's hungry, takes out, leaves in the car, and goes somewhere. And when he has any opinion about it, she's like, well, you should have been here. Like, you pompous. I don't know. She's got more to lose, I think. At a certain point, the financial stuff, you know, their intentional ignorance. I'm meeting you there with that, her intentional ignorance. It's easier for her to be dumb, play dumb, stay dumb in some circumstances. This learned helplessness that she has with Salah, it keeps him around. As long as she stays helpless, you know, as long as she stays too big to get off the couch, he has to reach his hand out to help her up. So she's going to stay big. So he has to always put his hand out. Because if she was a thin woman with that attitude, he might not. And not for nothing, somebody commented, I have to say. Okay, Salah's masculinity has come into question a few different times. It came up with the stuff from Kybella. and the exchange they were talking about back and forth with fecal matter and things that he's interested in, his niche interests sexually that they were talking about. And that stuff had come up and they had had that kind of discussion. But I forgot where I was going with that. It's gonna come back. Give us a minute. We're almost an hour in and the brain's starting to go. So do forgive. Do forgive. It's not even really a Friday. So, flabbergasted that Salah lets her take his wallet, money, car keys. Somebody suggested that maybe he just keeps his wallet in the car, which could be a combination of cultural difference or stupidity. I don't know which. I don't leave my wallet in the car. I grew up in like Mayberry, small town, northeast Pennsylvania, and still, lock your doors, don't leave that shit out, because someone like her could come up and just take it. Taking his wallet is the kind of thing she would do. If she was a man trying to manipulate a woman, she'd take the keys. So she could take the wallet because that strands him. He can't go anywhere without her now. So she can't go anywhere without him. She gets in the car with all his resources and he can't go anywhere else. Well, he was talking to her in the chat. So he's somewhere alive with thumbs during the whole time. And while he's giving her shit too, the chat is giving her shit about the way she carries herself and the way that she was interacting in that situation with the guy. So, just in time for the tail end. Yay for the replay. Hey, Cindy, what's up? So, yeah, Salah was pissed. Other people were pissed. She didn't really care about it. No thanks, not interested. Why are we seeing all this on her part? Because she's broke. And drama and food are big sellers for her. So she has to have drama around food, drama with the marriage, drama with people on other channels, sticking her tongue into the pool of Amberlynn Reid and having an opinion there. Amberlynn, who I don't even think she says she watches Foodie Beauty, but Foodie watches her because when she needs a sister in bigness to say, they make fun of us all the time. You take your half as big of a channel, us, away. They make fun of Amber and they have talks about her. The funniest, Chantal is so unfortunate that her weight isn't even like the biggest thing. I mean, physically it's the biggest thing, but it's not the most pressing thing. Her attitude will get her killed. She'll get murdered. Her attitude will get her killed before her weight does. And talking about people smoking and having opinions about her weight, and she was doing that in the chat, and people thought she was coming at Salah because he smokes, but she smokes too. So, and she was apparently going after French Fry Girl. People who smoke, she'll be smoking at your funeral, Chantal. French Fry Girl will be smoking. It's just what it is, okay? So, Chris, going to finish off laundry, keep fighting the good fight. I'm here, we're here. If it's a decent car, the thing locks when you leave carrying the key fob. I think she just says it like, she wants it to make it seem like it's his money. So I took his wallet. It was her money in his wallet anyway, I'm sure. When's the last time he got a super chat while he was gaming on his channel? Or the couple's channel? Or anything like that. And then she's going to make another channel now for fitness? It's all bullshit. Having another channel is something I think a lot of creators think about when you have a nice idea or a big idea, but you can't find room for it in your own single channel, and you want to have another outlet for it or another place to put it. So I can get the want of having to have another place to do it, and the idea of a second income. But if she thinks for a second she's going to open another channel and 105,000 people are going to come over and say, hey, you do anything different here? And she'll say, no, but you can watch and you can send me money. So, yeah. Her last thing is she just did today. Live dinner and a dessert. She was cooking at home, talking about things that she would eat for dinner. She had chicken salami and a couple other things put away in the fridge. And she was like, ew, gross, talking about the bought food because it's not ordered food. She picked the food, so I don't know why she's like grossed out about it, but she ends up with a tomato, cheese, and mayonnaise sandwich, some more super chats. Her eating gets a little sloppy, and then suddenly, bam, the amount of the super chats and the frequency goes up. Who would have thought? So if I made, just because I say I relate to Chantal, I'm in recovery, I don't drink. But let's say I was in the middle of getting that together while making a channel. First of all, probably should have different priorities, but let's say I was trying to do both. If I come on one day and ask for a ton of support, and you guys would do it, for I'm trying to change my life, this thing is killing me, I need to do something different, this is the plan I want to do, here's the help I'm going to get, blah, blah, blah. I need your support. And invite everyone into my mess of a life and ask for their kind feelings towards me because I'm struggling. To turn around a few days later and have me come on camera, drunk as a skunk and say, hey, it's not like you got drunk, what do you care? I don't want to talk about my drinking. Obviously, I don't care. So why do you care? Whatever, get a life. I'm just an entertainer, okay? You're not supposed to be all in my business like that. You got a few in her, we'd have another cube of these. Whew. So, yeah, and of course she was having dessert, vanilla pound cake with vanilla ice cream and blah, blah, blah. So, she's gonna do her. Now, January, we're going into February, I don't see her changing her content at all. I think it's going to be eating, and it's going to be eating and drama. Eating, drama, drama, eating. Something big's going to happen. She needs to have like a breakthrough, not a breakthrough video, but like she needs to have a live or a video where she pulls like 20,000 some views. Bring in some new people, bring back some old people with some old interesting drama. She has people to choose from. Anytime she needs to liven up the channel, it's like, who haven't I fucked with in a while? Shannon, let's talk about her. Who else haven't I talked about in a while? Yaba, let's talk about her. Like any amount of time goes between all of this, but at any rate. So, well, thank you folks for joining me tonight. Going into this weekend, I'm very excited. Tomorrow, I think we have a chit chat. And then there might be a we will try it, Steve will try it sometime over the weekend. And then we'll see about Foodie Beauty. We'll probably check back up because it'll only be a few days from then to now to catch up. So we'll probably check in again on Sunday, live or video, either or. And we'll catch up then. So I did want to say a non-generic thank you to you guys for following, even though it's been inconsistent with the posting for Coffee Talk and some of the other videos too. We're aware of it and we're working on it. So I hope that you guys can see that, and that if everything isn't as smooth, going as smoothly as it could or as seamlessly as it could, know that we're not blowing YouTube off. We're just trying to make it all work at the same time. So that's challenging sometimes, and other times it's not. Other times it's gravy. Like tonight, I was able to sit down, write a bunch of notes, and talk shit. So on that, thank you all for being here. Thank you for continuing to come. Please hit the thumbs up on your way out if you'd be so inclined. Please do subscribe, hit the notification bell. You get alerts when we have new videos and go live. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All our contact info is listed below as well. Thanks, and we will catch up with you very, very soon. So depending on where you are in the country, be safe, stay warm. It's been frigid a lot of places. And look after yourselves, okay? And each other. Bye.